Parkinson's diagnosis. It took us 4 years and 4 different neurologists to finally find the answer. And 2 of them looked at me and said, "You're too young to have Parkinson's," and didn't even give it a second thought. And so for me, it was always one of the most terrifying things I heard from people is, "Oh, you think you feel bad now? Wait till you're 60. I'm thinking, if I feel this bad now, heaven help me when I get to be 60. Just that idea of just not knowing what it was going to be like when I got older, if this is what I was already battling and dealing with.
So this is actually a question and a misconception that I'm super passionate about. So I pose the question is, what age is a good age to have a condition? I always get the, "You're too young to have this." And my retort after having, living with something for so many years is, but what is a good age? Because I think what happens when people say that, it creates a domino effect of all the emotion of the person living through it. So not only am I dealing with this idea that I live in pain, I live with chronic illness, but then I'm adding in this idea of maybe I'm too young to have this. Is there something wrong with me? Why am I not strong enough like people my age? I was diagnosed at the age of 15 with most of my diagnoses. So I've lived more of my life sick than I have not. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? So I think the age condition intersection is super important. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I think for me, the age thing really makes misdiagnosis, the gender and age misconceptions that happen around chronic illness really make getting a diagnosis for dysautonomia or POTS really difficult, because most people start experiencing symptoms in late teen years, early 20s. I was diagnosed around 23 on my birthday. There's that happy birthday, here's a chronic illness. But for me, it was difficult because of that kind of ageism and sexism related to that. A lot of people misdiagnose POTS with anxiety. And so it often takes many years to get a diagnosis with POTS because the symptoms are very similar. You get the dizziness, the heart racing. But then I always question, why is it only happening when I'm standing up? So am I getting anxious just standing? That makes no sense. And for me, the interesting thing is that oftentimes it takes so many years to get to a cardiologist. And for me, the interesting part of this was that I ended up getting to a cardiologist through a psychologist because they thought, "Oh, you must be missing home, you're so far away," because this happened when I was studying abroad. I said, "Oh, I'm fine, but sure, I'll go to a psychologist. Let's see what they think so that we can move on with our lives and get something else going on." And they said, "You know what, you're right. This is something else."